The auditorium hums with anticipation, thousands of eyes fixed on the stage, where a single spotlight carves a glowing circle against the dark velvet curtain. A boy, no older than 15, steps forward, his worn sneakers squeaking faintly on the polished floor. His name is Eli, a kid from a forgotten corner of the city, where rusted street signs and crumbling brick buildings tell stories of struggle. His clothes are threadbare, a faded blue hoodie, jeans patched at the knees, but his eyes burn with a quiet fire. The judges, polished and poised, lean forward, their expressions a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Eli clutches a battered guitar, its wood chipped and strings tarnished, a relic passed down from his late father. The host, all smiles and charm, asks for his story. Eli's voice trembles as he speaks of his mother, working 3 jobs to keep them afloat, and his father, who taught him music before passing last year. The crowd falls silent, hanging on his every word. He says he's here to honor his dad's dream, to prove that even a kid from nowhere can shine. The judges exchange glances, one dabbing her eyes already. Eli strums the first chord, a soft, haunting note that seems to pull the air from the room. His song, an original, weaves a tale of loss and hope, each lyric raw and unpolished, like a diary page torn open. His voice, untrained but soulful, cracks with emotion, yet carries a strength that belies his fragile frame. The audience sways, some already wiping tears, as the melody builds. By the chorus, the judges are visibly moved, one buries her face in her hands, another grips the table, his knuckles white. Eli's fingers dance over the strings, his heart pouring out in every note, a boy and his guitar against the weight of the world. As he hits the final verse, the crowd is on its feet, a wave of applause swelling before he even finishes. The judges, now openly weeping, clap with the audience, their cheers echoing through the hall. Eli stands, breathless, his eyes wide with disbelief, as if he can't fathom the sound washing over him. The camera zooms in on the golden buzzer, gleaming under the stage lights, and the tension is palpable. Will they press it? The moment hangs, electric, as the crowd chants his name. Rewind to 6 months ago, when Eli's life was a different kind of stage, one of survival. His neighborhood, a maze of cracked sidewalks and flickering streetlights, offered little hope. He'd wake at dawn to help his mother, Maria, pack her bag for the diner, her hands rough from years of scrubbing dishes. School was a battleground, kids mocked his clothes, his quiet demeanor, but Eli found solace in his father's old guitar. Late at night, in their cramped apartment, he'd strum softly, crafting melodies that held his dreams. His father, James, had been a street musician, playing for pennies but dreaming of arenas. Cancer took him too soon, leaving Eli with memories and that battered guitar. Maria, exhausted but fierce, told Eli to keep playing, to hold on to the music that made his father smile. Yet, the weight of bills and grief pressed hard. Eli overheard Maria crying one night, worrying they'd lose their home. That's when he saw the talent show flyer, taped to a community center wall, promising a chance at stardom. He hesitated, his guitar was old, his voice untested, but something sparked. He spent weeks writing his song, pouring his pain into lyrics, practicing until his fingers bled. The audition was a leap of faith. Maria borrowed money for the bus fare, her eyes shining with pride. Now, on that stage, Eli carries all of this, their struggles, his father's dreams, his mother's sacrifices. As he sings, the judges see more than a boy, they see a story unfolding, raw and real. The music swells, and the audience feels it too, a collective ache for this kid who's fought so hard to be here. The judges' tears aren't just for the song but for the courage it took to sing it. One judge, a gruff music producer, wipes his eyes, muttering about authenticity. Another, a pop star known for her icy demeanor, is openly sobbing, her mascara streaking. Eli's final note lingers, a fragile thread in the air, and the room erupts. The cheers are deafening, a tidal wave of love for a boy who dared to dream. The golden buzzer sits there, a beacon of possibility, and the judge's hands hover, the moment stretching like a held breath. Backstage, before Eli's performance, the air was thick with nerves. Other contestants paced, some whispering lines, others checking makeup in cracked mirrors. Eli sat alone, clutching his guitar like a lifeline, his heart pounding so loud he feared it'd drown out his thoughts. He'd never performed for more than a handful of people, street corners, church basements, but this was different. Cameras loomed, their lenses cold and unyielding, and the crowd's murmurs felt like a distant storm. A stagehand, noticing his pale face, offered a kind word, but Eli could only nod. He thought of his mother, watching from home, her shift at the diner paused for this moment. He thought of his father, who'd once said music could heal a broken world. The weight of their belief in him was both a burden and a spark. When his name was called, his legs felt like lead, but he walked out, the spotlight blinding. Now, as he finishes his song, the memory of that fear melts away. The judges' reactions are a blur, tears, smiles, hands clasped in awe. The audience is a sea of faces, some crying, some cheering, all connected by his voice. Eli's chest heaves, his hands shaking as he lowers the guitar. The host rushes over, his voice cracking as he asks the judges for their thoughts. The first judge, a songwriter with a reputation for brutal honesty, stands, her voice thick with emotion. She calls Eli's performance a gift, a reminder of why music matters. The second judge, the producer, says he's never heard such raw talent, his gruff voice softening. The third, the pop star, can barely speak, her words tumbling out between sobs. She says Eli's song touched her soul, that it's the kind of music that changes lives. The crowd roars in agreement, their applause a heartbeat in the room. Eli's eyes dart to the golden buzzer, its glow almost blinding. The judges confer, their whispers urgent, and the tension builds. The host teases, asking if this is the moment, and the audience chants louder. Eli's heart races, he's just a kid from nowhere, but right now, he's the center of the universe. The judges' emotions spill over, a rare sight for a show built on spectacle. The songwriter, her eyes red, speaks of her own struggles, how Eli's song reminded her of her early days, scraping by with nothing but a dream. The producer, usually stoic, admits he lost his father young too, and Eli's lyrics hit like a punch. The pop star, still crying, says she's seen countless auditions, but none like this, none with such heart. The crowd hangs on their words, their cheers punctuating each sentence. Eli stands frozen, his guitar dangling, overwhelmed by the love pouring from the room. He thinks of his mother, who'd told him to be brave, to sing for his father. He wonders if she's crying too, watching on their old TV. The host, sensing the moment's weight, turns to the judges, asking if they're ready to decide. The audience holds its breath, the air thick with hope. The golden buzzer, a symbol of a life-changing break, gleams under the lights. The songwriter reaches out, her hand trembling, and the crowd gasps. She pauses, looking at Eli, then at her fellow judges, who nod. She slams her hand down, and the buzzer erupts in a shower of gold confetti. The sound is deafening, cheers, screams, the buzzer's triumphant wail. Eli's knees buckle, and he drops to one knee, tears streaming down his face. The host catches him, laughing through his own tears, and pulls him into a hug. The judges are on their feet, clapping, crying, cheering, their faces alight with joy. The confetti rains down, catching the light like 1,000 tiny stars, and Eli looks out at the crowd, his heart full. He's done it, not just for himself, but for his mother, his father, for every kid who's ever felt invisible. The moment feels eternal, a snapshot of triumph against all odds. The aftermath is a whirlwind. Backstage, Eli is swarmed by crew members, contestants, and reporters, all wanting a piece of the boy who made the judges cry. His phone buzzes with texts from neighbors, friends, even teachers who barely noticed him before. Maria's face appears on a video call, her eyes swollen with pride, her voice hoarse from cheering. She tells him she knew he could do it, that his father would be proud. Eli's throat tightens, he can't find words, only tears. The other contestants, some envious, others awestruck, offer congratulations, their voices a mix of genuine and grudging admiration. Eli's mind races, he's advancing to the next round, a step closer to a dream he barely dared to dream. The judge's words echo in his head, authentic, soulful, a game-changer. He wonders what his father would say, if he's watching from somewhere beyond. The show's producers are already planning his next appearance, talking about social media buzz, viral clips, sponsorships. Eli, still. The night of the next round arrives, the auditorium even more electric than before. Eli's name is everywhere, on banners, in chants, across social media. He's no longer just a contestant, he's a phenomenon. Backstage, he paces, his guitar a familiar weight in his hands. The other contestants, polished and professional, eye him warily, knowing he's the one to beat. Eli's nerves are raw, but he thinks of Maria, watching from the front row this time, her face glowing with pride. The stage lights flare, and he steps out, the crowd erupting before he even speaks. The host introduces him as the Golden Buzzer Boy, and the cheers grow louder. Eli takes a breath, his fingers finding the strings, and begins his new song. It's bolder than the first, its rhythm pulsing with defiance, its lyrics a battle cry for anyone who's ever been counted out. The audience is captivated, swaying, some singing along by the chorus. The judges, once again, are spellbound. The songwriter nods along, her eyes sheeny.